Charles Oliveira's coach came out and he got asked a very specific question. He got asked, what's the biggest fight for Charles? And the coach said, well, we're pursuing Islam. #1 ranked guy. Been promised a title fight. But to answer the question the way you asked it, Ilia Topuria. And he went on from there to talk about Ilia and Charles would be a bigger fight, that he thinks they could get more attention, they could get more eyeballs. You have parity, you have something new. I agree with them. I loved that he did this, and it was hard. It was hard. The coach did not want to put anything in the media other than boom, 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 Islam, Islam, Islam. But I liked how he worded it. If people took the time to read it and didn't just get lost by the headline, he said, okay, here's what you asked me, and I'm going to answer it. Guys, it's a big deal. Charles versus Islam. Ilia versus Islam. Whichever guy it is, it's a lot bigger deal if they get through the other one. If Charles gets over on Ilia, that fight with Islam, I mean, it's a totally different scenario. And the same is more true for Ilia. If he can come in and prove, right? Khabib himself said this is our problem with it. He has not proven. And when that proof comes, it can only go up or down. And if it goes down, we don't need a win over a guy that's down. So come in and prove it. It's a fair point. Like everyone's right here. And I think we're going to have a lot of clarity in a few weeks. I do think when Islam says, before I agree to anything or even enter a discussion, I want Blahal and Jack to be concluded. Now, we understand what Islam's point is. I'm sure that you're smart enough to understand why you're going to pretend to let that matter, right? Then you just kind of keep your fingers crossed that it goes the opposite way that Islam wanted and it's a moot point. But if you do end up having to face that, that's where you got to get a little bit stronger. But we're in a negotiation right now, right? You have a TV rights deal, and you're in a negotiation right now, and you're not going to harm yourself by creating problems with the most famous Muslim athlete in the world. That's a quote by Ariel Helwani. Ariel actually gave that to Khabib, so I'm going to give it to Islam with the idea that Khabib is no longer viewed as an athlete. I think most do view him an athlete, but I've proven my point. In case you're wondering why Tom and John can't get sorted, why this looks very unusual, that there's not more of a fight going on to make the fight happen, just in case you wonder why, now you have it, and I'm going to leave it at that. So, when you have Ilia, okay, I like how Ilia's done this. I mean, Ilia did this like a true badass. He went to the company and he had a conversation that was hard to have. They don't like their belts given back. Not to mention, they had plans with Ilia. They'd already did the face-off with he and Volkanovski, just for example. So it changes the plans. It's not a phone call that's going to go well. But he made it. And he had information that he knew they needed to have. Like when the company's thinking we're gonna have Ilia, he's gonna take on Volkanovski. Well, that's because they don't have a piece of information. It would be very underhanded if Ilia, as their champion, as a partner, doesn't come in and say, hey, I need to disclose something. I'm not gonna weigh 145 pounds again in this lifetime unless I'm terminal. Okay. And I would just juxtapose that with Islam. Islam is telegraphing and he's saying, I don't know what I'm going to do with my division. I'm going to look at this other division where I want to be, but I'm only going to go there if the fight goes the way that I want it, right? And it just starts to come out clumsy. And I get why Islam's doing it, and he isn't wrong. I'm just sure, but perception is reality. So make sure that you understand. Okay, I want to make sure that you really understand this. Islam is not going to fight Ilia Topuria, and it's for one reason. Islam's had 4 opportunities, plus a manager, plus Khabib. That's 6 times speaking for Islam, all saying in unison the same thing. I am not going to face Ilia because Ilia has not proven himself at 155 pounds. Okay. Islam would like to go to 170, and he would like to challenge for the championship of the world. So for anybody at 170 to say, I'm not going to face you because you've yet to prove yourself, do you see where it becomes a problem? And that isn't the fight or the direction anybody's going in anyway. And any time we're wasting to do that, all of a sudden on the phone you're dealing with a bunch of nice guys. You'd better understand the politics and the time frame until Mr. Nice gets up and walks out of the room, because it's coming. Now, Charles calling for Ilia is wildly interesting because Ilia has never let something slide. Like, don't be confused because Ilia is handsome or wears nice suits. Like, don't get confused by that. You go learn about what got him into a wrestling room and a boxing room in the first place as a kid. This is a very rough and tumble guy, and I'm just sharing for you, he is not going to let it go. But nobody's called for him. Nobody. As a matter of fact, it's been the opposite. Our champion of the world, number one ranked guy, pound for pound, is saying, I'm not going to fight. That puts Ilia over. That boosts Ilia. Might frustrate him with the answer, but it boosts him. And nobody said, give me Ilia. Nobody. Until today. Until today. And it was done in a nice way, and it wasn't a call out. By the time that gets interpreted from Portuguese to English and then sent over to Spain and gets run through Georgia, I mean, I'm just sharing with you, like, when this message gets to Ilia, he's going to believe that he was called out, and he is going to respond. And that's how fights are made. That's how big fights are made. And I just want to bring this to your guys' attention because I have a feeling in the coming weeks we're going to be discussing this. But the idea of Charles and Ilia is also one that I support. I was encouraged to know that Charles supports it. It's not what Ilia's been looking for, but Ilia is not going to let it go. Mark my words.